Hey everybody, welcome to Riding with Gravity. I'm sad to say it's time to put my motorcycle away for the winter. Now, while I'm putting it away for the winter and won't be able to ride, I do have a bunch of videos that are recorded from the fall after I arrived back here in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. So I do have a bunch of content. Some of it's interesting, some of it's not. But anyway, I've got about, 25 or so videos backed up that I will post to get through the winter. In the meantime, let's go ahead and winterize our motorcycle. I'm just gonna do some very simple things for my motorcycle. I'm gonna put fuel stabilizer in. I've got my tank topped off, so I'm gonna put in some fuel stabilizer, and I'm gonna pull the battery. Some people will put their motorcycle on a tender. If that's what you're used to doing or you wanna do, totally fine, go ahead and do it. For what it's worth, I was talking to somebody who rides that I had met through work, and they were telling me about how they accidentally burned down their garage because their bike was on a tender and it started to fire. And I'm not super paranoid, but you know what I did with my riding lawnmower, no offense to my beautiful motorcycle, I used to have a riding mower and I did fuel stabilizer and I pulled the battery out, and then I put it on a tender, trickle charged it, and got it ready when it was time to use it again. And that worked just fine for me. So that's what I'm gonna do for my motorcycle. And then, once it's spring, I will unwinterize it and I'll probably do an oil change. I'll check all the fluids, just make sure that everything is nice and in tip-top shape for riding, right? But in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put some fuel stabilizer in and I'm gonna pull the battery. That's basically all I'm gonna do. Now, I'm sure that some of you do a lot more than that. You might drain all the fluids and other things like that. Feel free to add in the comments if you've got suggestions, contribute, right? I'm just gonna do some very basic things, and I think that should probably for me be sufficient. If I decide to do more than that, I will come back and let you know, hey, I did this, I'm gonna do a little bit more. I also talked to somebody that I met in the neighborhood who rides, and he's like, yeah, no, I'm not doing anything. I was like, well, okay, no fuel stabilizer, you're just gonna let the battery die. Okay, so also personal preference, right? It's your bike, take care of it how you want. This is not a plug because I don't get paid to do this, but I got this is the stabilizer that I got for my fuel. They only had this super large thing. So this is gonna last me a really long time. This is like a 9.51 liter gas tank, which is like 2.5 gallons. And basically for this thing, it covers 80 gallons of fuel. As I just said, I've got like 2.5, I think. What that means is in this 9.51 liter tank, I need 1 ounce of this, which is about 29.5 milliliters. So I need 29.5 milliliters of this. The cool thing about this one is if you squeeze it, it will fill the reservoir. And so now I can measure it here. And then when I'm good to go, I can just pour it. So that's super cool. And I just need, like I said, 29.5 milliliters of this. And I'll just pour that in with the fuel and I'll call it good. So I'm gonna measure this and then we'll resume with putting it in the tank. So funny story, as I was squeezing that out, just to demonstrate, it ended up being exactly what I needed, so I'm good. Accidentally got the right amount of fuel stabilizer. So obviously now I'm just gonna put it in the tank. That simple. And now I don't need to really worry too much about the fuel. As I said, come spring when I can ride again, which I can't wait for, I'll probably go on a nice long ride, to be honest, and I'll burn through as much of the tank as I can. I'm gonna be buying a fuel canister to carry in a backpack. But the first thing I want to do in the spring, when I check over the bike and make sure I'm good to go, is I'm going to go on a nice long ride. And I'm going to burn through as much of that fuel as I can, and then put in a fresh tank of gas. So next I'm gonna pull out the battery. I gotta clean up a couple things here before I do it. Apologies if you can't see this too terribly well, but I'm gonna take this piece off here that comes across the battery. I just noticed that actually I can pretty much just use my fingers, which is an indication that it wasn't very tight to begin with. I did take it in for servicing, so hey, I trust the mechanics. I don't think this certainly wasn't loose enough that it was just going to come out while I was riding or anything like that. But it's kind of funny that I don't even need to use any tools. I can just take those out. So this piece is good to go now, and that gives me access here to the battery. Okay, time to disconnect the battery. Remember that when you're doing the disconnect, you want to do the negative terminal first and then the positive terminal. Installation, you reverse it. So I'm just going to disconnect these things here. I'm using a screwdriver that has a magnetic tip on it. Important because I don't want to drop this screw down in there. Famous last words. There we go. That's one. Now this is free, so you'll see again, right? I got my different pieces here connected in. Just want to make sure that you remember how you put this all together. It's not that complicated, but obviously it's going to be a while before I connect this thing back in. And since it's going to be a while, I just want to make sure that I know what's going on. I'm going to need this one. This one's a little stripped already. I didn't strip it, but I'm going to need a different screwdriver for that. So give me 1 second. Okay. There we go. A couple of more things to note that I probably should have told you. All right, so shame on me, I'm not wearing any kind of protective glove. Probably should do that. Obviously the bike is not running, the ignition is off. All right, now I'm just gonna pull the battery out, literally. So you can watch me fumble around because I've not actually taken the battery out before. This is the first time I'm taking it out myself. So let's just go ahead and do that. There you go. So this is my stock battery. Some people complain about these batteries, and if you've had a bad battery experience, I'm really, really sorry. I've had a great experience with this. I've had this motorcycle for a year and maybe a year and a half, year and 9 months, somewhere in there. I haven't had any battery issues. I left this motorcycle in the cold for like 2 weeks here, and I was above freezing, but it was in the 30s, like, mid 30s. I didn't have any problems. It started right up. So I've had really good luck, but not everybody does. And so anyway, I'm hoping I can get as much life out of this battery as I possibly can. But it is what it is. You can get a different battery. A lot of people do this. They'll replace that battery with one that is a little bit lighter weight. Alrighty, so this is where gravity's gonna live. Basically just put the seat back on, took it down off the stand, moved it over here into the corner, and then I put it back up on the stand. This is just good for the tires. All right, don't want those at an angle all winter. So I've got those nice and straight. I am not gonna put a bike cover on this because I'm in the garage. And if there's mice or other kind of things like that, I don't want them thinking this is a nice cozy place to make a nest. So I'm trying to keep this like it is. So I'm not gonna put a cover on it, but I'll just leave it over here in the corner and we'll see. In terms of my next videos, like I said, I got a backlog of stuff. I'll do one on winter gear. I've got a backlog of videos that I'll share. And then I'll see you in the spring when it's ready to, charge the battery, take it out for its first ride, make sure it's good to go. Happy and safe riding, everybody.